Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Amateur Repair Time. I have been cleaning up a little bit in my closet and I found this RCA Victor radio. I bought this on eBay a couple years ago when I was kind of getting into it, and I just liked the look of it, and I liked that it had a good challenge to it. So basically the guy said that he had taken it apart, saved all the parts, hopefully, and then never put it back together again. He intended to fix it, never did. So maybe we can, so we'll see. I forgot that I had this, and I found it in the closet and was like, ooh, I need to fix that finally. Now, I've got a whole bunch of them up on the shelf, and I've got a bunch more, and I'm still working on this Emerson, not Emerson, Philco, and I'm still working on this Majestic, but I feel like working on this one. So let's see. So it's an RCA Victor. Doesn't get much better than that, does it? It has a piece of foam in it, hopefully to protect it. Hopefully it's still got some of its goodies in it. So I've been worried about this. Oh boy. I've been worried about this freaking... Oh hell, it ain't even attached. I should have just took it loose. All right, so there's what's left of the antenna. It appears that it's still in one piece. So we need to glue that on there, obviously. Here's what the back of that looks like. This is to certify that this instrument has the acoustical balance which produces the tone of the golden throat. Golden throat. D.D. Cole, Double D. Cole, Chief Engineer, Home Instrument Department, RCA Victor. So it's the golden throat, people. Now, everybody talks about Philco being a gimmick. That is a gimmick. Hopefully it does sound really cool, though. So let's see if I can pull out some of this stuff. We'll look at all of it, see what we've got and what we don't have and what's broke and what's obviously destroyed. And we'll go from there. What? Oh, man. The tuning capacitor seems to be loose. Let me pull that out of there without breaking it. Well, I don't like the inside of the case. They've broken off the mounting studs. Most of them. So we might have to get creative when we go to mount it back in. There is a hole over there on the side. It was already like that. I think there's something actually that sticks out the side there, and it's it'll cover some of that, but I was already aware of that. This was very inexpensive, people. We didn't go deep. All right, so this has mounts, so I guess it's not really all that loose. It's just isolated. Those almost look like jukebox grommets, little motor grommets. But I think they're actually fine. It's just, it moves. I don't know why it would move. Maybe we'll figure that out. It's got a little tiny speaker. These two wires, it appears, connects to the antenna. And then it has a little tiny amp here with two IFs. I suppose maybe that's the output transformer. And 5 tubes. So that looks just fine. Now let's see what the other side looks like. Not much there. The speaker appears to be in pretty good shape. Yeah. So, look at this. What are you doing, people? What are you doing? It's like they just ripped it off instead of unscrewing it. Man, come on now. Come on now. Why would you do that? So there are so 5 screws that they did not remove. They just ripped it off. I don't get it. I don't get why you would do that. They must have just not known it was like that. I think we'll be all right. There's got to be some kind of way I can clip it in there. I mean, the knob's probably going to hold it on somewhat. I think we'll be all right. If I can fix it. Which maybe I can, maybe I can't. So, let's see how bad it gets, people. The thing probably works. It's got a bad tube or something. The rectifier tube is probably bad. Somebody told me the other day in one of the videos, it's never the tubes. He's like, I've been repairing them for 30, 40 years. Well, I don't know. I fixed a couple of them that it was just the tube. All right, so the knob is also damaged. Come on, people. Come on now. I need something to work with here. Come on now. I guess that's what's left of the other piece of the knob. This is a ring that probably maybe went in there. I don't know. And then this is probably the broken piece from over there, actually. So maybe we can glue that back. What do you think? We'll see what we can do. And then, if I can get into this one. Now look how yellow this bag is. You probably can't tell, but this bag, it might have been in here a long time. So this bag has the other knob with the indicator. I wonder how that works. Look how it's colored. I wonder if it shines red light up through there somehow. I don't think it's faded, because if you look, there's like a gradient. So like the red color is down on this part. So I don't think it's faded, maybe. I guess we could look at pictures, but what fun is that? Well, there's our little ring. All right, so I guess we've got the 2 knobs. We don't have the side knob. Or do we? Yeah. So this knob goes on the front. This is the side knob. Okay. That's a little better. So, worst case, we could put something else on there if we had to, or I could order another one. But, you know, this would be the one that you really need. Okay, very cool. All right, so what do you think we should do first? I guess first we should take this plate off. That should have came off a long time ago, people. Or should we? Well, no, all that would have done was take it off of the case the proper way. I guess we need to get in here. Well, should we do caps first, or should we just bring it up on the variac and see if it was completely broke like the guy thought it was? Maybe we'll get the multimeter. I think I'll get the multimeter and I'll check the ohms on the speaker and see if it seems all right. I don't like the look. Well, I guess that's all right. This one looks awful white, doesn't it? When they get white inside, it's because they've lost their vacuum, but I think it's got to be worse than that. I don't think that's what that is specifically. Okay, yeah, so let me check this. Oh, we don't have yeah, we do have a power cord. Never mind. What do I know? Yeah, maybe we could plug it into the Variac and watch it and see the amperage go up and see if it's going to short, and try to bring it up and just see if it does anything, and then rebuild it. So I'll check the speaker, just the resistance on it, just to see if it seems like it's got a good coil or not, or if it's connected or not. And if that seems fine, we'll bring it up and see if we get any kind of tube glow and where we go from there. Okay, so I used the multimeter and just checked across the leads of the speaker, and I'm getting like 1 ohm, which is actually just checking the output transformer. So the speaker could still be bad, but I guess we'll see. And I didn't check the primary side of the output transformer, but I kind of just want to bring it up and see what it does. So I have plugged it into my ammeter and into my Variac, which is fused, and we'll just give it some juice and see what happens. So I would assume, you know what that means, that this is the volume, or and the on off. Let's see. Okay, so that's off. That's on. And we'll give it some healthy volume and just see if it does anything. I suppose something's wrong with it, but I don't know. So we'll slowly turn up the Variac and just see what happens. So I'm going to watch this. If there's a short in something, the amps will start pegging. And it'll start drawing all kinds of amps. We might end up with a capacitor exploding or something. So that's at 60 volts. And it's drawing like no amperage, so it's probably not doing anything. We've probably got a situation where the rectifier tube's messed up or something. I see no glow at all. I mean, I did see the meter was moving. Let's go a little higher. Oh yeah, she's up. That's crazy. I wonder what the deal is. Damn thing works. Why would the guy tear it all apart if it worked? It don't even sound that bad, really.
Immunizations help give you the power to protect your baby. A message from the Centers for Disease Control.
All right, so very little reception. Most of it's not working. So I think the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to just test the tubes just for the heck of it. If we've got one of the tubes is way out of line, it might really give you problems with reception. And then also, of course, the caps are all bad. If I run it too long with the old caps in it, I run the risk of screwing up the tubes even worse. So I don't want to do too much of that, but yeah, of course, you're going to replace all the capacitors, but what fun is that? The fun is trying to figure out what the problem was. If you swap all the caps and then you just go, oh, this works great. We can do that with any of them. It's kind of, the only thing interesting about this one is it had a little bit of a story. The guy took it all apart trying to fix it. Apparently it works at least halfway the way it is. So I don't know if maybe just he didn't like the reception, or maybe it was physically damaged and that's what he was doing. I don't know. I wish I could find the listing for it so that I could see what he said about that, because I don't remember exactly what he said, but it was something about that he took it all apart and was going to repair it, but never forgot how to put it back together or something like that. But I mean, it's not that complicated. Or maybe he was talking about he couldn't mount the chassis in there because he broke those studs off or something. I don't know. Maybe it got dropped on the floor or something. All right, so I'm going to test the tubes next and just see what that tells us. Well, it occurred to me, I never turned the voltage all the way up. So with it at 120, you've got a lot healthier net glow, and you get a bunch more channels, obviously, because it's at full power.
And then it's $5,000 that I have in my pocket, and I'm freaking out. And then,
so it's working fine. Yeah, okay, cool. All right. Well, still, I'll test the tubes, see if we've got any that are borderline or weak, and then we'll recap it. All right, so first up we have a 12 SA7. Seems good. I don't know why it goes all the way up and then falls. That's kind of weird. It seems good. I guess I need to look at the schematics eventually to make sure that it's got the right tubes in it, but it probably does. Next up is a 12BA6. Yeah. Also 80. That's cool. All right. So two of them at least are pretty good. Okay, so this one is the 12SQ7, and it ain't great. It's playing triple duty. You have to test it 3 different ways. So that's going to be the detector, whatever the other 2 things are on the schematics. So I'll look that up, but part of it at least isn't working very good. Let's see about the others. So C, E, C, so I need to go to C, C, F, and then A, B, and then B1. Well, the second part of it's great. Almost makes me wonder if I'm testing it right for the first one to be so off. I am testing it wrong. I had it at 99 sensitivity. It needs to be at 85. Okay, let's try that again. So at 85 sensitivity, that's still all right. Okay, so now we need to do C, C, F, A, B, B1. All right. The third test. The third test is good. Okay, so let me finally look at the schematics and see if I can figure out what that is, and then I'll see if I've got another one that's working a little better. Well, I looked on the schematics. It is the correct part. It's a 12SQ7, and I looked through all of my parts, and I have this one that's ugly. Ooh, it's ugly. But if you look, a lot of that is just where the paints came off. And the thing tests pretty good. You know, this on our other one we were down here, and then on the other 2 tests we were at 80. So that's the first test. Let me try the other 2. No dice. Unfortunately, it's got a short in it on the whatever the second test is. So, it's the AVC, it's the detector, and it's the AF amp. So I'm in the same position. I had another one too that's just bum. So I'm in the same position where even though I have thousands of tubes, I don't have the tubes that I need. That's probably something that you just never get away from, isn't it? Does Mr. Carlson run out of tubes all the time? I'll bet he does. I'm going to have to send him a message and say, hey, buddy, I noticed your garage is full. Your warehouse is full of boxes of tubes. I'll bet you still run out of tubes and don't have the right ones. And I'll bet that's true. No matter how big you get, no matter how many you have, you still don't have the right ones. And it's a 12 SQ7, which I've heard of many times. So I'm sure it must be like one of the most absolute common ones. But I may have some. I've got some that I don't have sorted yet. And I did a quick glance through those, but I could only find two. Well, I found three, actually. I could find three at the moment. None of them are any better than what I've got. So obviously the thing's working with that portion of it screwed up. It would just be cool to have a nice hot one in there to see if it gets better reception, but we'll move on. All right, so I got the plate off of it. That plate is what mounts to the actual cabinet. This side mounts forward. So all on the front of it, there are these little screws that hold it in place from the back, and then these little inserts are what were mounted into the plastic pieces that are broken on the front. So it's as if somebody ripped it out without unscrewing it, unfortunately. It could have been something like that the knob was off or something and it got pushed. But you can see it's not super deep. So even if it did that, you wouldn't think that it would push back enough to break all of those loose. So I don't know if somebody just ham-fisted ripped it out or if something hit it right in the middle to knock it out, but there doesn't appear to be that much damage to the case other than that. So I don't know what exactly happened there. You could fix it a bunch of different ways. You could even mount these studs back in where they go, even if the thing's completely gone, using some putty or something. You know, you could put like some kind of like JB weld, right? And just mount these back where they go. But getting them exactly right, well, they'll take a screw through that hole, for instance, you know, and it's perfectly lined up. Let's see here. How close do I have to get it? We're looking at it backwards, actually, but, you know. So I got to get it dead on. If it's off a little bit, I guess the screw would go if it was off a little bit. We got about a 1/16 of an inch of play. What you could maybe do is put, you could put JB weld on like 2 of them. And then while it's still wet, mount the thing, get the screws in it, and then hold it where it's right, and then let it dry, and then do a couple of the other ones and keep going. So if you did it while it's wet, it might work. I might attempt that. Maybe I'll look and see if I can find some JB weld tomorrow. I'm going to the flea market tomorrow, and if I can remember, I'll see if I can find something like that. But in the meanwhile, we'll replace these capacitors. I had someone on a previous video very angry that we're replacing capacitors. They said we should just leave the original capacitors because we're never going to really use it anyway, and you're just trying to leave it as an antique. I can understand that thought process. I just don't agree. You know, I do. Part of what I like is that the thing works, you know. So I leave as much original as I can, but I kind of like that it works. So I know some people would think otherwise, but and it's not going to work long with the original caps, so you got to swap them. And if you've watched my other channels and stuff, or if you've watched this channel, you know that I'm not a stickler for making everything brand new. I don't like making things look new. I don't like, you know, making a pinball machine look like it just came off the factory floor in 1972, but now it's got LEDs in it. I don't like that. So I don't mind leaving things with wear and age and all of that, but you kind of got to replace the capacitors or you're not going to be able to use it. And if you can't use it, you know, I got plenty of stuff sitting around that doesn't work. I would like for it all to work, okay? So I'm going to replace the capacitors. All right, so I'm going to snip them out one by one and replace them, and we'll go from there. But remember, it already works. Okay, folks, so I got all the caps replaced. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 6 caps and the filter cap. So this is a very easy one, actually. This is my little thing I rigged up for the filter cap. So it was a 50, 150. I put a 47, 160. And then a 30, 150. I put a 33, 400. I think I had a big one. So that should be fine. But there's one thing that I did that you really aren't going to like. It seems like in every video I'm apologizing for something. So this one cap, you can tell me down in the comments below what you think. I think this will be a good thing for people to argue about. It's a .047, but it was just a normal cap, and I replaced it with an X2. Now the voltage rating's high enough, so I put a safety cap in instead of a regular cap. The only reason I did it is because I ran out of the regular ones. I ordered some, but they just ain't got here yet. So I'm low on some of my caps. So I put a safety one in. Theoretically, it ought to work fine because the safety cap's just designed better, you know, so that it won't short. But there could be problems with ESR and things like that that make it not work quite right. So let me know what you think. Is it safe to replace a regular cap with a safety cap? Are you just overdoing it by doing that and it'll work just fine? What do you think? I'll bet half of you say, yeah, sure, you can do that. It's no problem. And it's not ideal, but why not? It'll work. And then the other half are going to say, no, there's some weird measurement that you can't do that. So it'll be interesting to see. So I'm going to try it out, make sure I haven't blown anything up. And then I need to check all the resistors, but I'm going to have to get the schematics before I do that. All right, I haven't blown it up yet. It's getting in WSM with just the no alignment yet, and with the antenna just laying on the table, which is 650 from Nashville, which is kind of hard for me to get. I usually get it on the radio if it's working all right, but it's a little tough. So if it's getting that, it's working pretty good for me. And I haven't even aligned it or anything. So we're still working so far. So let me let's find these schematics, and I'm going to check the resistors and just make sure none of them are way out of spec and replace whichever ones are. Okay, so I did replace a couple resistors, a few. Let me show you what I did. So on the schematics, I got them from Nostalgia Air. There are several variations of this chassis. This is the 1104, the very first one. So this is the very first version of this chassis. There was also an 1104-1. Let's see if it lists them all in here. Yeah, here we go. So there's an 1104, an 1104-1, an 1104A-1, an 1104B-1. There is an 1104, just a regular A, and 1104B. So I guess there was 1104 and then 1104-1. And then there was 1104A and then 1104A1. And then there was an 1104B and 1104B1. Right? With different tubes and blah, blah, blah. So, but I've got the very first one. So there were 3 changes from the earliest version of it, or there was even more than that, but on the other page, I didn't print it out, but it talks about the changes. So one of the changes is this resistor here, R6, which connects from the detector to the volume control to ground. It was, the one I had was 10 meg, but it had ballooned up to 11.8 meg. And then when I took it out of circuit, it kept testing shorted, and then 11 meg, jumping all over the place, right? So I don't know what the hell's going on with that resistor, but I took it out. And on the very first version of it, that was a 10 meg resistor, but they changed it and made it a 4.7 meg. So I didn't have a 4.7, so I changed it and made it a 4.4 by tying 2 2.2s together. Right, so this is now 4.4. So it's some kind of upgrade, maybe to get like more volume. I don't know, right? So since that one was out of spec anyway and going the wrong way, like they thought 10 was too high in the second revision, so I went ahead and went the other way. So I went in and fixed that. This one, R3, which goes between the IF can and the other IF can, was originally 3.3. Mine was dead on spec, but they also, after the first revision, changed that to 2.2. So I went ahead and did that as well, since I had the 2.2s. And that is this bad boy right here. All right. So the other major thing was that on the rectifier, this resistor isn't even there. So on the very first version, they didn't have a resistor there. They just had those shorted out. So that's the plate circuit of the rectifier tube. It's shorted from here to here, which you can see. So they are shorting pins 5 and 3 together, which is, yeah, that's that right there. So this is a resistor on later versions, but they've just got it shorted. Now, I don't know if the point of that was to lower the voltage going to the dial lamp. No, it can't be, because that's just a winding there. So I don't know why they did that. But on the very first ones, there's a short there, like mine is, right? But I don't have a 33 ohm, so I left it off. And I don't think that would have anything to do with this or this, so I'm not that worried about it. If we get where the radio is not working properly, I'll track down a 33. All right. And another one of the things that changed on the different versions was it said that one version they had the wrong IF cans at the factory, so they added 2 little caps to fix it. 2 little ceramic caps to fix it. This one doesn't have the little ceramic caps on it, so apparently it had the right IF can. Okay, so then I checked through the resistors. This one's dead on the money, which is surprising. I think, isn't that the one that usually gets the brunt of it? That basically creates the B+. That one was perfect. This 150 was off. It was like 189 or something, but I was able to replace it. So I've got a 150 in there. This 470K was dead on the money. This 220 is a little high. It's 235, but I don't have a replacement for that. So we're going to roll with it. This 47K is dead on the money. The 2 main ones that are off is this 100 ohm is 137 and this 100 ohm is 134. So that's connecting the IF to ground, and over here used between the converter and the oscillator. This one's dead on the money. So these 100s have drifted, but I don't have any 100s here. I need to get, here at the house, I need to get more of a complement of resistors. So I think we're good with it the way it is, but you know, it would be better to get those completely in spec. That's pretty high. I think if they're like 20, if they're at 120, I'd be all right, but 134, 137, it's a little out. All right, so I waited till the next day and I actually went and got the resistors. So I've got a 100 ohm resistor, 100 ohm resistor, and a 220K resistor that I've replaced now. So basically everything is in spec now. And now I'm going to align it. So I've got my signal generator here. I also put some connectors on the antenna wires so they can get a better connection on this back plate, because you need that to do some of the alignment. So we'll go. To U.S. company based on. All right, so I am fixing the plastic by putting the little inserts in that are threaded. 3 of the studs are halfway still there. So I got this JB Weld plastic bonder where you can basically like mix up plastic crap. And I mixed up a bunch of it around it. It dries really quick. and hopefully it will reform some of the plastic that's holding the studs in. Now the two over here are so far gone, I don't know that it's going to happen on those. So maybe I'll just see if I can hold it in place with 3 screws. I could, once there is a way to do it. I could mount it to the plate, and then once I get it where it will, those 3 will go in there, take it back out, put the other 2 studs in with the screws mounted, put a whole bunch of the JB Weld crap on them, and just mount it in the case and let that JB Weld just dry and create whatever the hell it needs to create around those studs, and then carefully remove the screws. Once I get the screws removed, use more of the JB Weld to build it up to make it stronger. So that's my theory, at least. We'll see if any of that actually works out in play here. So that has dried, and amazingly, it seems to have worked. So it's holding the thing in place, the insert, and it's like plastic now. So it just remade the whole thing. That is really cool. JB Weld plastic bonder. So it seems like those 3 are just fine if the screws will line up properly. I think they will. All right, folks, so this is how the inserts turned out. It actually came out pretty good. I was able to get all 5 of them back in. So I just used this JB Weld plastic bonder. I've been working on this for a few days, on and off. And so I put the 3 I was able to mount in where they went, and was able to just plastic bond them up. And then I put those 3 screws in. The 2 over here, I couldn't tell exactly where they went. So I just mounted the studs with the screws on there loosely, put a little bit of the plastic bonder on it, and then laid it all down flat and mounted it. And then those just hung there while it dried, and that told me where they were supposed to be. And then I took all the screws back out, took the plate back off, and made it thicker. And so it should be as strong as it was originally, maybe even more. So I'm very happy with that. So that's going to mount back in there exactly like it's supposed to be. So that's cool, getting that fixed, which was the main problem, I guess, with the radio, since it was actually working when we got it. There was a little chipped piece missing on the side that I was able to put back in as well. I just used super glue for it. And so I've got this aligned as good as I can get it. I think the T2 IF may be screwing up. I don't know. But we'll put it all back together with the antenna and put it all in the case how it's supposed to go, and see what kind of sound we get out of it. All right, so I was able to super glue the little broken piece of plastic back in here. And then slide the little collar back on it. That's that side one for the volume. And then the back panel, I didn't really have an appropriate glue for this. I'll get something at the store, but so I just put a couple of zip ties on it to hold it in place for the moment. Resoldered the wires just to make sure everything was making good contact, and we're ready to try her out. All right, folks. So this knob, I haven't cleaned it up much yet, but this knob actually goes behind all of that. So it mounts to that plate before you put the whole thing in. Right? And you can see right now that you can barely see the indicator. But the back of it was painted like orange or a pink, so I think that will light up when we turn it on. So I got the knob back on here. It's in rough shape though, but let's see what we got. I can hear it.
Played.
Yeah, look at the light.
Game that was decided.
You can barely see the light.
Fewer. They are now 5-5 in those 10 games.
So I never understood that, but some of these, the dial itself does not really light up. The only thing that lights up is like the indicator. So I don't know if I've got something missing. There may be like some kind of baffle that goes in there that makes the light shine out better. I don't know. All right, so let's see if we get anything. Let's start at the bottom. Now remember, this 12SQ7 is in bad shape. It tested as. So I think I might liven this thing up with a 12SQ7. I've ordered some, they're just not here yet.
Think again. Because more people are listening to the radio on iHeart today than they did 20 years ago. And only iHeart broadcasts.
So maybe that's at
connects with more
560.
Americans than TV, digital, social, any other media.
By the way, if any parts of this part of the video go quiet or jump, it's because YouTube didn't like whatever we're about to find on the radio and made me delete it. So there was something there, maybe at 590. That ain't good. I wonder if that could be volume. That can't be volume. I'm gonna go.
Top of their wish list. Visit your local steel dealer today or shop online at steelusa.com. Plus $159.99 MSRP. Charger. Valid for a limited time only at participating dealers while supplies last.
That's maybe.
Playing basketball at the highest level requires
Okay, they're talking about basketball. That's gonna be that sports channel that's just above WSM. WSM 650. Usually at like 660, I find another one. That's all sports. So I may be able to go down slightly and get WSM. Yep, that'd be WSM. It's a little off. It's probably at 640 on the indicator, but that's 650.
Life's a workout. Life's a bit. Exclusively at Kohl's. Some exclusions apply. In store at Kohl's.com for details.
So that's going to be the sports
Hey,
channel.
Tar Heel fans, cue the shot and they have the tools necessary to protect themselves. So if there is ever a time for us,
And they say it's safe in the kidneys, but
It's tough to win. It's a big challenge. That's what it is.
So I think that IF's fine. It was giving me problems earlier, but after that I resoldered the links on the antenna, and maybe I was just having intermittent problems with the antenna. I don't know.
Yeah, there's no thread.
But I think it's the 12SQ7 though.
all right. Well, the thread that we're drawing here is.
leading into the city and they're throwing the palm branches down and they're all saying, Hosanna, Hosanna, welcome.
I mean, that's not bad for a little table radio. It's getting in all kinds of stuff.
It even looks something like a church.
It should, and because it goes on the block too, I've looked into its history.
I'm just sitting there. We're going to take a time out and now look at some of the numbers when we return. First, we'll tell you that Harris Teeter is the official grocery store of your Dakes. They offer everything you need for the perfect game day, from subs to pizza.
Or overreact with us. Leading up to the big game. Overreaction.
First of all, Hamas is a proxy of Iran. So when you're looking at the bigger picture,
Okay.
you're talking about
So we're coming up on 1110, which is the huge local channel.
Iran and these.
That's going to be this.
Fence to home court and gets by UCF 108 83. Marquette bounces back.
All right, so I'll turn it back up now.
Tennessee, Mississippi State.
Relax and start listening. Presented by Health Beauty, founding partner of iHeart Women's Sports.
All the good stuff.
It's so noisy.
Oh, I can't do this. You have to, focus on Will. Now, Aaron Glenn will be hired somewhere as a
So it actually gets all kinds of reception. It's just not super selective. Let's go back down to WSM. That was the best thing.
America's country station.
A tone adjustment might help get it to sound a little better. Let me turn off those other lights so we can see how well it lights up at all. It looks a little darker on the camera than it does here in real life, but I can read the numbers. Just barely, though. All right. So I think that's as good as I can get it till we get the 12SQ7 in. When we get it in, I'll pop it in and see if that makes a difference. I hope I don't have to align it again after that, but you know what? I think I might. But at least we got it all physically back together, and it does work, just it's not a great performer. But then again, who knows if it ever was. So there you go, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. You think it's the 12SQ7? You saw me test it. Or do you think it's an alignment issue still? Or both? So leave your comments below. Now, if you like watching me tinker with these radios, and I don't know what I'm doing, here's one I did a while back. I didn't know what I was doing on that one either, but it actually turned out pretty good. So I'll see you on the next one. Hope you enjoyed it.